stays on top of the news. All day, every day. We are like no other. First of its kind in Ibadan, constantly on the green, giving you the best of broadcasting 24 hours. Agidigbo 88.7 FM, the people's voice.
There's a lot to digest and a lot of voices to be heard. Stick to the frequency that amplifies those voices, stories and reports that make the difference. This is Agidigbo News, 88.7 FM, the people's voice.
This is Kunle Amzat's studio. Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Welcome to News Around the World.
Welcome to the news around the world on the most listened to radio station, Agidigbo 88.7 FM, Ibadan. I am Olamide Badmos. First, the headlines. Federal government, Oyo join forces to boost Nigeria's transport infrastructure. Makinde inaugurates 25-year Tourism Master Plan Committee, another planning team for 2026 Tourism Summit. South Korea jails American YouTuber for public nuisance. Pope Leo criticizes tyrants who spent billions on wars. AFN welcomes Ofili back, calls for support from stakeholders. Now the details. The federal government, in collaboration with the Oyo State government, has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening Nigeria's logistics and transport infrastructure. This was highlighted during a stakeholders meeting convened to review and validate the consultant's report on the proposed Moniya Inland Dry Port in Oyo State, which brought together key players in the transport and maritime sectors, represent a major step forward in the development of the strategic logistics hub and is expected to enhance cargo movement and improve trade facilitation across the country. Speaking at the event, the Oyo State Governor, Engineer Oluseyi Makinde, represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Musibao Babatunde, described the meeting as a vital step in the collective drive to modernize Nigeria's transport system.
We expect it to boost employment opportunities and enhance small and medium-scale clusters, and also to more or less facilitate industrial development, large-scale industrial development, and also export of goods and services, enhance export of goods. You know, we need to deal with value chain approach now in terms of enhancing economic development. So we expect the fact that when this becomes operational, it's going to be a big game changer for this particular part, and also it's going to decongest the seaports in Lagos so that people can actually come in and try to do that. And at the moment, Oyo State is anticipating that by fixing up the road that actually leads to that inland dry port.
In his remarks, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Dr. Adegboyega Oyetola, represented by the Director of Maritime Services, Mr. Adiola Oyinloye, emphasized that the Inland Dry Port Program remains central to the federal government's broader logistic reform agenda.
One good thing about a project like this is that it requires the collaboration of all stakeholders. And in this the development of this dry port project, Oyo State is a key strategic stakeholder because it's the state that hosts the project. And so The ministry is partnering effectively with the Oyo State government to ensure the successful implementation of this project.
In her opening remarks, the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, Fatima Shugra Mahmood, highlighted the economic potential of the Monia Inland Dry Port, describing it as a transformative infrastructure project. The Oyo State Governor, Engineer Oluseyi Abiodun Makinde, has inaugurated a 25-year tourism master plan committee and the planning team for the 2026 Tourist Summit, setting the stage for what is described as a long-term transformation of Oyo State into a major tourism and investment destination. The inauguration took place at the Executive Council chamber of the Governor's office in Ibadan, where Governor Makinde emphasized that the initiative goes beyond routine governance, describing it as a strategic move to reposition the state economy over the next quarter century. The governor noted that Oyo State's ambition to upgrade its airports to international standards and attract global flights reflects a broader vision to place the state firmly on the global tourism map. Governor Makinde charged the 25-year Tourism Master Plan Committee with the responsibility of charting a clear direction for the state's tourism sector and further expressed optimism that the event would serve as a major showcase for the state's tourism potential, while urging members of the committee to think beyond immediate gains and focus on building a legacy that will benefit future generations. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Police Command, CP Abimbola Olugbenga, has ordered the deployment of comprehensive and robust security measures across the states for the nationwide examination organized by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. According to a statement signed today by the Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Anyolade Olayinka, the Commissioner of Police mandated that adequate security coverage be in place at all computer-based test CBT centers across Oyo State to ensure a safe, orderly, and hitch-free examination process for all candidates. CSP Olugbenga also mandated enhanced visibility policing across major roads, communities, and critical points within the state, while directing officers on stop and search duties to be proactive, professional, and courteous in order to ensure that candidates and other commuters traveling for the examination reach their destinations safely and without undue hindrance. The Oyo State Police Command further wishes all candidates success in their examinations and urges them to remain law-abiding throughout the exercise. Eating of food on the streets from small stalls of people who walk around as a part of the daily life and survival of many Nigerians. With tight budgets, many residents don't have the option of eating food from big restaurants, and many don't have the time to cook at home. But how safe is the food that are being eaten on the street, and what are the health concerns that comes with this street food? In this report, Agidigbo FM news correspondent Rukayat Aziz takes a closer look at the risk of eating street food and ways to improve street food. Here is the report.
In most rural and urban communities in Nigeria, street food remains a daily habit for millions, even with the health concerns it comes with for both sellers and customers. With the economic realities, some Nigeria cannot afford meals from big restaurants, and not everyone has time to cook at home. The need to feed the stomach has made many low-income earners busy people to eat from local food vendors, by the road, kiosks, or small stores. Do many Nigerians actually pause to think about hygiene before paying a roadside vendor? And how serious is the current governor about enforcing safe food standards? Do most Nigerians actually pause to think about hygiene before paying a roadside vendor? And how serious is the current governor about enforcing safe food standards? This report engaged some residents of Ibadan who shared their opinion on the risks of eating street food and how it can be managed by vendors. A resident of Ibadan, Mr. Mainke, gave his opinion on buying food from the street. In his words, condition makes people settle for low-budget meals.
In terms of hunger, and you just have to resuscitate your appetite. You have to take some junks. At times you can take some restaurant food in a well-organized restaurant. But eating on the street is not 100% safe.
Another resident, Miss Catherine, said the availability of street food had saved many from the stress of cooking at home.
People selling the food should improve on their hygiene because we don't know where some of them get water that they use in cooking. We don't know the bowls they use to store their food, even the pots, and some of the ingredients they use in making the food. We don't know how they come about it. But I believe if cleanliness and proper hygiene is being maintained, it's going to be for the benefit of everyone that patronize them.
In his own view, Mr. Osho said, buying meals from food vendors with inadequate hygiene can expose some people to sickness.
So many, because some people have brought the water. You don't even know the water they are using to cook their food. You don't even know the source of their food. So that is demerit.
A resident of Ibadan, Mrs. Agbabiaka, said there is a lot of risks involved in eating foods on the streets.
The taste will look somehow for our body. So we beg for some people that is selling food for street, please make it change. Fresh water that is very neat. We are rice is enough. So fresh water, the water will not be neat like that.
Driven by demand and the need to survive on small earnings, street food will continue to be a part of everyday scenes on Nigeria's streets. However, food vendors and consumers must prioritize food safety and good hygiene for a healthy environment and meals. Rukayat Aziz, Agidigbo FM News.
Now it is time to link up with our United Kingdom studio for the foreign news.
News from Kule Amza Studio, Agidigbo FM United Kingdom. I am Zikrot Fasasi. 2 police officers have been charged by the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS, after the death of a heavily pregnant woman of 38-year-old in a car crash involving in a collision with a police vehicle in Etham Road, London, on October 2024, and her unborn child could not be saved as well. The Crown Prosecution Service had authorized a charge of causing death after an investigation by dangerous driving against a Metropolitan Police PC, Chris Johnson, of 56 years old, the driver of the police vehicle involved in the collision, with former PC Danny Tompkins of 35-year-old, the driver of the second police vehicle. And the pair will appear at Westminster Magistrate Court on 28th of May. Acting Detective Chief Superintendent James Durham, who leads policing in Greenwich, has thereby sent their condolences to the woman's family and friend who continue to grieve the loss of their daughter and her unborn child. American live streamer Johnny Somali has been sentenced to 6 months in jail for causing outrage in South Korea by hissing a statue representing World War II sex slaves. The 25-year-old, whose real name is Ismail Ramsey Khalid, is known for his provocative content, which led him to being banned from several streaming platforms. He has also been accused of harassing people while traveling in Japan and Israel. Seoul authorities charged him for public nuisance in November 2024 after he posted a clip of himself kissing and performing lap dances on the statue while visiting South Korea, and has since been banned from leaving the country. Even though prosecutors had sought a 3-year prison term, the judge landed down a lower sentence of 6 months while noting the absence of severe harm to victims, but also barred from working with organizations that serve minors and people with disabilities when it is eventually released. And that ends the news from Kele Amza Studio, Agidigbo FM, United Kingdom. I am Zikrot Fasasi.
Welcome back. We shall also be moving to our Maryland studio, United States, for more foreign news.
News from Kule Amzat Studio, Agidigbo FM, United States. I am Oluwatosin Sonya. South African opposition leader Julius Malema is facing an uncertain political future after being sentenced to 5 years in prison on Thursday for firing an assault rifle in public during a 2018 rally. Shortly after the ruling, the 45-year-old was granted permission to appeal his sentence by a magistrate in Gugompo City and was released pending a hearing at the High Court. Malema, founder and leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, has built his political base around advocating for South Africans citizens who feel excluded from the country's post-apartheid economic gains. His calls to nationalize mines and seize land have unsettled investors, but his message of economic justice continues to resonate with millions of black youth, many of them educated, but yet struggling to find work in a country where roughly 1 in 3 people is unemployed. Pope Leo delivered unusually blunt criticism of global leaders during remarks in Cameroon, condemning the billions spent on warfare while human needs go unmet. His comments come shortly after renewed attacks against him on social media by U.S. President Donald Trump. Speaking in Bamenda, in the country's conflict-affected English-speaking region, the first American pontiff also denounced those who manipulate religion for military, economic, and political gain, warning against the use of faith to justify violence. He underscored the human toll of war and pointed to what he described as a deep imbalance in global priorities. The Pope called for a decisive change of course, urging nations to pursue a more sustainable path rooted in human solidarity. Despite a stark assessment, he struck a hopeful tone, saying that while a handful of tyrants are deriving destructions, the world continues to be sustained by compassion and support of ordinary people. And that is the news from Kule Amzat Studio, Agidigbo FM, United States. I am Oluwatosin Soya.
Welcome back once again. Now in the exciting world of sports, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria (AFN) has officially welcomed spring sensation Favour Ofili back into its fold, signaling a fresh chapter in the relationship between the athlete and the federation. AFN President Tonobo Kokowa expressed delight over Ofili's return, emphasizing the need for unity and encouragement around one of Nigeria's brightest track talents. According to Okowa, the focus now should be on providing the right environment for the 100-meter and 200-meter stars to thrive, stressing that what she needs most from stakeholders is love, support, and encouragement. The Federation's stance comes at a crucial time for Nigerian athletics as it looks to rebuild trust and strengthen its athletes' relations ahead of major international competitions. Ofili's return is expected to boost Nigeria's sprint prospects, with the AFN hopeful that renewed backing from officials, fans, and the athletics community will help her reach our full potential on the global stage. To wrap up the news this evening, here is a recap of the headlines. Federal government, Oyo, join forces to boost Nigeria's transport infrastructure. Makinde inaugurates 25-year Tourism Master Plan Committee, another planning team for 2026 Tourism Summit. South Korea jails American YouTuber for public nuisance. Poplio criticized tyrants who spend billions on wars. AFN welcomes Ofili back, calls for support from stakeholders. And before we go this evening, here is a quick tip. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Finally, we have come to the end of the news around the world on the most listened to radio station, Agidigbo, 88.7 FM, Ibadan. I am Olamide Badmos. Thank you for listening. Good evening.
News is information, and information is power. At Agidigbo 88.7 FM, we bring the news from top to bottom.
The Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission, OISEC, has called for continuous collaboration.
We bring you reports from Oyo